This is When the Fuck Did I Become Old, the fun and unapologetically honest podcast about the process of aging, or experiences of aging, and where, as the name suggests, nothing is off the cards. I'm your host, Jo Parker, and this is my co-host, Kev Stockbridge. Now, before we get into the episode today, what I want to do is I have to remind you, please will you follow us on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. And today's topic is, do we need to spend Christmas with our kids now that we're older? Kev, you've got an opinion on this. What do you think?
Well, it's not so much an opinion, but I mean, it's a conundrum, right? For people in our age group, as your kids kind of grow up and leave home and leave the house. Some of them just leave the house but don't leave home, if you know what I mean. They go to university or something. But whether you have them back, whether they want to come back, and at what point in their 20s do they disappear off and do something different, is a challenge that people face, right? And the question is, like, how do you deal with that, and what's normal for you?
So this is our first Christmas where none of the kids are at home.
No, indeed.
Is it our first Christmas where none of the kids are at home?
Well, okay, in this country maybe,
yeah.
But we've had, actually no, it's not.
It's not. So, no, but anyway, so this is a Christmas. This is a typical
but
Christmas.
If you look at what you expected
forward.
Christmas to be,
yeah,
and you think about how you had Christmas as a child,
yeah,
right. So what was your pattern of Christmas with your parents?
So my pattern of Christmas, interestingly, was that we had really big family Christmases. So there were 3 sets of aunts and uncles on my mum's side. So mum had 2 brothers, and we would spend Christmas either at my grandparents' house, where everybody congregated, or at one of the aunts and uncles' houses, or at ours. So it's always lots of people. Now, when I spoke to my sister, she really hated Christmas, and that's nothing to do with the family. That's to do with me and my cousin Sue, who's exactly the same age as me, refusing to let Nikki, my sister, who's 3.5 years younger, join in. Whereas for me, I had a great time because Sue's still one of my best friends. So that was great. So we did that when we were young.
Young being?
Well, yeah, into teenage years as well.
Okay.
But the sad and strange thing is that when I spoke to my sister about Christmases as an adult, because our parents died quite young, in our 20s, because our parents died quite young, we don't really remember our adult Christmases. So I know I spent some. I went one in New Zealand, I spent one in Australia, and Nikki spent a couple away as well. So, but the Christmases as an adult don't really figure in my memory as to what we did. We would have spent them with our family, definitely, but whether or not it was extended family, I can't remember.
Right. So my Christmas experience as a kid slightly tweaked, I suppose, because my birthday is Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. So that's not normal. So Christmas is like an extra special, always has been an extra special day for me because it's my birthday and it's Christmas. And so I think age sort of like 10 upwards, I can't really remember before 10, but like 10 to 18, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was always at home. Mum always hosted. It was always at home. It was always like probably about 8 of us. It was like me and my brother, mum and dad, my nana and granddad, and my uncle and aunt.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost every Christmas. And there was a pretty fixed pattern to it. The morning was my birthday. Mm-hmm. Afternoon was Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of split the day into 2 halves, and you're kind of in the centre point of both.
Yes, you are, especially as a child.
And then as I got a little bit older in my teen years, mm-hmm. the pattern changed slightly in the morning, in that I would cycle to my friends' houses to hand deliver Christmas cards on Christmas Day.
And get your Christmas and birthday presents?
Yes, but I would cycle around the neighbourhood, and like I'd write my cards Christmas Eve, and I'd cycle around the neighbourhood Christmas morning, meeting my friends and their parents, and exchanging cards and stuff, and also receiving gifts, and then come home, like
with all your gifts,
laden with gifts for lunchtime. So that was that, and then in the evenings, the one thing actually which I just thought about today as we drove up here today, I thought, and I'd forgotten this actually, but in the evenings, I can remember my dad, he always used to go to his study.
Right.
After like Christmas dinner. Mm-hmm. And then at some point in the evening, he'd have the big film, right, which would invariably be a Bond film. Or if it's not a Bond film, it's
James Bond.
It's either that or it's like Colditz, or it's some sort of war film that's like a classic film. And I can remember desperately wanting that time in the evening with my father and wanting Dad to be there and to sit there and watch the film.
But he didn't.
No, well, he did. I used to nag him to go, Dad, the film's going to start. You know, and he'd come downstairs and he'd sit in his chair, have a cup of tea, and he would fall asleep. And I'd have to wake him up like every 15 minutes because he would forget, like, what's happened now? You know, he's been asleep. But I just remember having that. I really wanted Dad. I don't know why. I really wanted Dad to be awake, and I really wanted to share the experience of watching whatever that Christmas Day film was with him. So, but it was a struggle, and year after year, I'd struggled to kind of. It was almost like I was trying to create some sort of fantasy moment there that was incredibly hard to construct each year. But anyway, he was adept at falling asleep. But that was my sort of experience of childhood. Now, if we sort of move forward from that and go, okay, fine, what have we then subsequently been doing as adults ourselves with our own?
Create Christmases for our children.
Yeah. So what's been the pattern of Christmas with your kids until recently?
So when they were children, so the pattern with my kids when they were children would, every other year they would go to their dad. So every other year I had to do something else with someone else. So, which is good now that they're adults, because if they're not here, I'm kind of used to that, if that makes sense. Whereas I know that people who have not had that experience will have that trauma the first time their kids decide they don't want to spend Christmas with them. But so every other year I had the kids and I would make sure that we did something with family. And so the Christmas was created to be lovely, and big stockings and etc. And we would always do panto from quite an early age. And there would always be quite a big crowd doing panto, which included my sister. And then when the kids had partners, I'd take the partners to the panto as well. So it was always a panto in that Christmas period too, because I still really enjoy panto, but it's obviously the adult innuendo. So I was doing that for quite some considerable time. The first time I didn't have a Christmas with either of them because they were not in the country was when my eldest was 18 and she was in Australia. But she was in Australia having Christmas with my friends in Australia. So, yeah. So those are the Christmases that I created, of like trying to make it family and fun and lots of presents and Christmas music, etc. And then going out and doing pantos and things like that. And there would be all sorts of, we would do Winter Wonderland. So we would do Winter Wonderland with our friends and neighbours every Christmas until Winter Wonderland got just too busy. Mm-hmm. And that happened, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so. It was just too busy to go in and queue for everything. So, yeah, but we would always go up, have lunch, and then go and do a Christmas shop like Selfridges or Harrods, and then go and go into Winter Wonderland in the evening. So, yeah, those are those sort of things that we generated and we did. What about you?
I mean, some similarities there, because obviously I separated and got divorced, when the kids my two were 8 and 10. Mm-hmm. So for that whole kind of like teenage period, last decade, up until their early 20s now, the idea of the split Christmas, completely normal. Yeah. So like 1 year they'd be with their mum, 1 year they'd be with me. Mm. So that, as you say, that kind of paranoia or insecurity that you could just argue normal parents have.
Are you saying we're not normal?
I don't think we are, no.
Well, the thing is, we are normal. We are part of the norm now, divorce parents.
Well, admittedly, divorce rates now are so high, it's almost 50-50. But I mean, for those who have not been divorced or separated, the kind of insecurity associated with your kids not being home for Christmas is kind of quite significant, right? And we've seen that in some people's responses from conversations we've had with friends. But like I say, I'm used to the kids not being there for a year, and then when they are with me, it's a normal, well, until mum and dad passed away, it was a normal kind of, we'll have nana and granddad, blah, 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 and your aunt and uncle, etc. And of course, occasionally in recent years, the girls as well, right? From your side, when they're both not with their other parent, then we have Christmas together. And this year, obviously, we've got kind of a semi-synthetic Christmas.
We've done that before, though. We've had a synthetic Christmas.
We have, yeah. We had COVID. We had one. We had to have on a different weekend because somebody
Boris, had. No, but Boris announced that 2 things. I think he did. First of all, he announced that because Paloma had COVID.
Paloma was with us,
and then he announced
and was infected. We had to wait until the window was open.
Period was shortened so we could have had Christmas earlier. And I think he opened, I don't know, but it just changed. So we could have had Christmas on Christmas Day, but because she was a very
different day.
Yeah, we had to do that. So
and we do it on the 28th this year because this year is the first year that one of our children has voluntarily elected to not have Christmas with us.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And so, and the other one, well, I say the other one, there's 4 of them, but I mean, Emmanuel's in Australia, so clearly he's not going to be having Christmas with us. Mm-hmm. But this year was the first year that Paloma actually said, would you mind, Mum, if I don't have Christmas with you? And she's never asked that before, on a year when she's meant to be with us.
Yeah.
So how did that feel for you when your own daughter goes, I'd rather have Christmas with my friends because you're a bit dull? And like,
well, I understand that I'm a bit dull because we did Christmas with just her last year.
We did.
So
just the 3 of us.
Just the 3 of us. And we did have the boys around, but on Christmas Day, I do get that actually there's more pull to stay with the friends of I think there are about 8 of them getting together and having Christmas dinner and party, doing sort of party games and stuff like that. So I understand that she wouldn't want to spend Christmas with us because it is a little bit dull.
I can't remember why were the boys not with us last year? I can't even remember.
I can't remember.
They're not with us again this year.
No.
They're down in Dorset, aren't they?
Absolutely. But then as my girls got into the same age that your boys are now, it wasn't that they came every other year. They kind of decided they can then make their own decisions on which parent they want to spend with Christmas with. And luckily for me, they want to spend more Christmases with me than they have with their dad. But that's another episode. That's another season of episodes, that one. But so we are at the place where when Paloma said, do you mind if I don't spend Christmas? We went, yay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Well, given we didn't have the other 3, it was like, okay,
absolutely, let's do something. But I wanted to point out that if I had been a single parent still, and I had no one to spend Christmas with, which I have been in the past, you have to then be much more creative about how you spend Christmas and who you spend Christmas with. So I do have cousins, sister, and other people and close friends that I can spend Christmas with because I don't think I'm at the point where I could spend Christmas alone yet. And I know there are older people that do spend Christmas alone and quite happy to do that, or don't want to come out of their houses because they are, they don't feel like they can move or travel across the country to see their children. I'm not at that stage. So had I been alone and Paloma had asked to go spend Christmas with her friends, I would have had to go out and find somewhere to spend Christmas.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that a bit later on because you're right. You do need to be quite active about taking control of your destiny if you're not going to be with your children.
Yeah.
But coming back to the complexities of having them or trying to have them and how that can pan out. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of actually having Christmas with your
grown-up children.
Now that your kids are adults, because that's a different thing, right? So, I mean, my youngest is now 19.
But you were complaining about your kids because they're boys.
Yeah.
So you were saying the times that we've had just the boys, we've gone out for Christmas lunch for 2 reasons. One is that it's easy, it's lovely, somebody else cooks it. But 2 is so that we don't get the feeling that they come down from their bedrooms, eat, and then bugger off back up to their bedrooms and not join in conversations. At least if we're out, we're out for a few hours. Absolutely.
Turn it into an event to actually extricate them from their game boxes.
And you don't think that they've changed that much? I mean, they still are prone to staying in their bedrooms and not spending much time with us.
Well, they certainly were until about a year ago. I mean, obviously now they're both at uni. We've barely seen them, so it's hard to know. But we'll catch up with them on the 28th. But
and see if they'll play
although
games with us.
we might see each of them for like, I don't know, when they come back at the end of term, they might pop in for like a day.
Well, they're going to pop in because they've got presents to pick up.
So, I mean, that's a whole new world. But in terms of just the themes of like adult children coming back, so, and it's interesting, like if we look at, and the age difference is like 9 years, right? Between, or is it 8 years between Paloma? No, Emmanuel and Ethan. It's 8 year difference. So you've got at one end, someone who still is kind of a child, right?
Yeah.
But they've been at uni for a year and a half. They've acquired a level of independence.
And they drive.
Yeah. So whereas, you were in the world of just ferrying them everywhere and they couldn't go anywhere that you didn't take them. Now it's like, well, okay, Ethan can go anywhere he wants, right? And we've seen when he comes around in the summer, he will leave when he wants to leave, right?
Yeah,
Because
'cause
he's got keys, he's got
yeah.
a car. I'm off now, Dad. Thanks very much for dinner. I'm out.
Yeah.
But so you've got that issue of the fact that if you're trying to bring a family back together to create some precious moment in time that's frozen for you that you want to be a special moment, you've got that challenge that the kids are actually all changing, right? And they're gaining a level of independence they didn't have before. They have a social life, they have friends, and they don't want to do what they did with you 2 years ago when they were 17 and now they're 19 and that's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
No, thanks very much. So you've got that problem. You've got, when you get further into the 20s, then you have potentially partners. We've had that in the past where, that one of the kids will have a partner who they might want to spend either Boxing Day with or
Christmas Day.
Or Christmas Day, and you have this whole debate about which partner goes when. And so there's logistical challenges around what's actually possible, because you might want to get them together. And we've had that in the past actually with Emmanuel, where you go, well, I can be here for this many hours, but then I've got to see so-and-so and I've got to see so-and-so and I've got to see so-and-so. And you go, well, okay, there's a very tight window there. So you've got to manage both your own expectations. If you're a parent, you've got to manage your own expectations about what is it reasonable to assume you can achieve. And you've got to have some line of communication with the kids to understand whether actually they've got a different expectation.
Yeah.
Right. Have they got an alternate?
True.
Why are they coming to you for Christmas and how long do they expect to be there? Because they don't want to be there for 3 days. They really don't.
They're just, regardless of whether,
none of them want to be there for 3 days, right?
However, so we did manage to get them for a week because we took them away in 2019. So
on the ski trip, which was amazeballs. That
was absolutely
that was my best Christmas ever.
It was lovely. It was lovely.
That was my best Christmas ever, 2019.
Yeah, it was fabulous. Goody.
Go to the grave, remember?
And so will the kids.
Yeah,
I don't think we could create that now again, because back in 2019 we had 21-year-old and a 13-year-old. 12-year-old, 13-year-old.
Where are we now? 6 years ago. Yeah, so Ethan would have been 13,
Yeah.
And Zach would have been...
We're 22. Yeah.
15.
So it was easy to get them because they were stuck with us.
Yeah.
But now
they were still kids, right? They were kids at
not.
school, apart from Emmanuel, who was, at uni, but...
Yeah. And if we wanted to take them away and do that again, we're back to the previous episode we have on taking the kids on holiday, it would probably be us paying for it. Yeah. But also there would be the problem of whether or not they've got partners. All four of them now could easily have a partner whose parents they need to go and see it sometime over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
So Christmas is definitely shifting. We're definitely having to look at a different type of Christmas. And rather than squeeze them into a box that we want to squeeze them into because we have some sort of nostalgia over it, we're going to have to be a bit more realistic. And I think this is the first Christmas that we are actually experiencing that, okay, you don't want to be with us. That's absolutely fine. Let's do something. And of course, I hand that all over to you. What do you want to do? Because it's your birthday.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we obviously were going out for dinner, right? We're taking all the kids out and my uncle and aunt for dinner on the 28th, right? But that's going to be £100 a head due.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the other problems with, if you're hosting, which we kind of are virtually, is hosting Christmas is bloody expensive, right?
Yeah.
And at some point in time, you kind of go, okay, can I really continue to host everybody and their dog and or their partners?
Yeah.
And so there's a challenge there, right? And I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think, when was the first time I did host Christmas for my parents once? Well, I said, well, more than once, but I mean, the first time I did it, I would have been probably like 27, 28, right. And I had my own flat, blah, blah, blah. And you get to that stage in your late 23, you go, oh, no, I'm the big person now, I'm going to have mum and dad round for Christmas, So I remember doing that.
I've never done that.
You've never done that?
No,
well,
because my parents died early. My sister did it. So my sister was a chef and she trained and she worked at Scott's in Mayfair. So she was a particularly good chef. So I think it's probably when I was in Australia, she had my parents round to their flat in Tooting for dinner, for Christmas dinner. But I never got the opportunity to do it. I did do it with my grandmother after my parents had died when I had kids. And that was quite chaotic, being a single parent with two young children and a grandmother who got to sort out. It's like, oh gosh, okay. But I get the expense thing. And I do remember when we used to do family Christmases with a big amount of people, my mum and my aunts would separate who does what meal. So my mother would always do the Christmas, well, no, the host, or my mother at home would do the Christmas meal. So the host would do the Christmas meal, and the other two party families would organise all the meals around that. So there'd be a dinner and a lunch every day for however long we stayed for. So it wasn't expensive. It was split, but I don't know how they did the alcohol, of which there was quite a lot consumed. But so, yeah, you can't really ask your kids, I'd like 50 quid a head, please, for dinner. Yeah.
I mean, I think at some point, I don't think it'll be too far away. I think in the next 2 years, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody who shall remain unnamed ends up hosting us.
She's already done that, though. She did
a pre-Christmas with us. Yeah,
dinner.
But I think she'll do that again. So I think because she'll be heading towards 30, and I think you'll get to that point where you go, I want to host. I want to host people.
Then that's another paradigm shift for us, isn't it? It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So then you have to change your expectations.
Yeah.
Because it's not your Christmas, it's their Christmas, right? And at some point, I mean, we were kids, right? Yeah. So at some point, we stopped living the Christmas that our parents wanted to.
Yeah. Now we're living our own.
Started living our own Christmas.
So then
inviting our parents into it, as well as potentially our own children.
So we've got to now let our kids create their own Christmases.
Right. So that's a thing, right? Which is going to happen at some indefinable point in time. But there's you have to do a bit of mental realignment there as a parent, right? To kind of go,
you do.
Okay, at some point I have to let go a little bit here, and I have to allow them to do that. And I was looking at in the paper, I was looking at the reasons why kids don't want to have Christmas.
Adult kids.
Kids. Yeah, not children
kids,
over the age of 20 who don't want to have Christmas with their parents. And
what were the signs?
So the main topics that were spoken about were really the pressure brought about by parental expectation, right, and fear of criticism of a number of dimensions of their life, right. So fear of criticism about their gender or sexual orientation, about their choice of partner, about their choice of career or job, about whether they were perceived to be following the sort of appearance standards that their parents...
such as not having pink hair and tattoos.
Body piercings, a whole bunch of stuff, right? And so there was a whole bunch of topics there. They were like, these are kind of like the friction points where, particularly when parents are hosting, if you're getting the children back, but the children back are no longer children, and they're not doing what you want them to do, it's not an opportunity to just, victimize them and impose your will for Christmas Day because they won't want to come back. So there's this whole thing about allowing your children to actually grow up into a different form of adult, which may or may not have been the one that you envisaged, and being able to be accepting of whatever that is,
right,
unless you want to create a friction heavy Christmas, right? And people do talk about Christmas being a stressful
it is a stressful
time,
it can be a stressful time,
and about actually the presence of being locked in together with family, source of anxiety and depression for some people. But that's normally the result of people enforcing expectations on each other that are unrealistic and unfair. So that's something you need to be really, really careful about not doing if you're gonna carry on trying to host the brood. As the brood grows and ages and expands, you need to really be quite open-minded about how you're going to achieve that.
Open-minded and open to suggestions, maybe, as like if you come to us for Christmas, how long do you want to spend? What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
What do you want to do when you're here? All of that, because when they're young, you can just march them out of the house and make them go for a walk. Whereas as we've had experience of, we can't march them all out of the house and make them go for a walk.
No, some of them like going for a walk. Some of them
don't.
Some of them like staying in bed.
Absolutely. So moving on from Christmas to New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
What did you do with your kids when they were young at New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, they were in bed.
Yeah, so you didn't really go out?
No, not with the kids. New Year's Eve. No, New Year's Eve was never a kids thing. New Year's Eve was always an adult thing. And so I recall no celebrations on New Year's Eve that involved children at all under the age of about 12.
Yeah, I think I've done a couple.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
And most of the time when they were that young, no celebrations for us either, because we were at home looking after them.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to get a babysitter on New Year's Eve.
Well, I had because I separated when my kids were really young, so I had the other the other side. So he who hosted Christmas
Right.
had New Year's Eve off.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I had the kids at Christmas, I could go out on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, so I never
So I
had
did.
that. So I didn't really have particularly enjoyable New Year's Eve until after I got divorced. And then you had the freedom to actually do something. Although I remember the Millennium, but that was pre-children. The
That's
Millennium, I remember
pre-children,
going to the fireworks on the South Bank in London.
Nice.
Millennium fireworks.
I had
that
the kids.
was pretty amazing.
So-
But no,
Yeah,
I had to
all
be out
fine.
the other side of divorce before I was free again on New Year's Eve. But we've had some fantastic New Year's Eves, you and I.
We have, absolutely. We have. And go back to one of the brilliant New Year's Eve that we had was your 60th birthday party. Because your birthday is on Christmas Day, you never really had a birthday party. And it took me and your best friend, Andy,
yeah.
months to convince you to do something on New Year's Eve. And was it good?
Yeah, no, that was fab. I mean, that was pretty amazeballs. So, what's that now? Is that 2 years ago now?
Yeah, it's 2 years ago. Because
December
I'm
23.
62.
So yeah, I'm going to be 62 in a couple of weeks' time. But
You had to organise that back in February, March, to start making sure
way in
people
advance,
didn't
yeah,
book their
totally.
New Year's Eve.
No, totally. But that was fab. Organising a birthday do for a night where, at our age, actually, not that many people have forward booked New Year's Eve, right?
Well, you say
when you're
that,
younger,
but you had quite a few people that couldn't make it.
well, only a couple like, I've got a chalet in Chamonix and I'm skiing for the winter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't make it. Yeah, that's true. And then there was another. Then there was Francois and Co. who were like, oh no, we're in the Dutch Antilles or whatever.
Yeah.
So there was a few people with super exotic holidays, but not many. There was a couple with super exotic holidays who were like, yeah, no, sorry, we're already occupied. But everybody else was like, hey, New Year's, no, that's great. I've got nothing lined up for New Year's. So that was great. We managed to get 24 people together for dinner, and that was an awesome thing. But we've had some great New Year's Eves ourselves, just like uptown, and going out to glamorous locations, and then this year we're going to be attempting to do that again. So we've got a hotel booked, nice restaurant in the West End, and then we're actually going to go clubbing, believe it or not. So you might say, how the hell do you get to go clubbing when you're 62?
Do you think there'll be a time when we can't go?
I think this could be the last time.
You're too old.
So bit of free advertising for them. So we have found a club night called Age Against the Machine, which for those of you with any sort of musical vernacular, you'll know the band Rage Against the Machine, so it's a pun on that. But Age Against the Machine, no under 30s allowed, and the playlist is right up our street, isn't it?
It is right up our street.
So we're doing that in the centre of the West End, just off Soho.
Yeah.
So, and then a hotel just off Soho in Leicester Square as well. So that's going to be fab. So very much looking forward to that. I don't know if we'll be able to do that again, but I think this could be the last.
Could be the last one. Okay. So wrapping it all up, spending Christmas with the kids is almost a thing of the past. It's definitely a thing of the past in how we used to do it and how we get them all together on Christmas Day. I think it's unlikely going forward that we are going to get them all together on Christmas Day, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say because the kids are changing, right? And the other thing is to bear in mind when they do come together at Christmas, when especially you've got kids at uni like mine, where we don't even have phone conversations, right? So we have text
they're boys.
conversations.
That's different. Boys,
but
girls.
the point is, when they come back for that holiday period, you actually kind of have to reacquaint yourself with who they are.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just a valid thing. As kids go through their 20s, you're not going to see them every week, right? Or maybe even every month.
Yeah.
And when you do get back together, you actually have to take a little bit of time to go, can I actually understand who my child is now? Like, seriously get to know them as an adult, right? Because they're changing into different people.
They are.
And so you kind of need to do a little bit of that. And you can't just recreate a snapshot of 10 years ago when he was 12 years old or any of that sort of stuff. So I think you have to be open to the fact that as your kids are growing up into adulthood, their experience of Christmas needs to evolve, right? And your relationship with them needs to evolve as well. And that's okay, right? Because you did it too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You weren't
absolutely.
frozen in aspic either. And I can remember going to my mum and dad's in my mid-20s and them talking about shit I did when I was 15 and me thinking, why are they talking about all this do they trot out the same old story every fucking Christmas? Yeah, Mum, I've heard, because you're in your mid-20s, you think, oh, Jesus Christ, I've moved on, like, get with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's a fair point. So you need to you need to adapt, you need to evolve, you need to understand that your celebration of the festive season, in whatever way that's going to be for you, is going to have to change a little bit too. But that's okay, right? And you can redefine that reality and navigate it as best fits you and your family. So there's no right and there's no wrong. You just have to find a path that fits for your family. So I think that's the message.
I think we should leave it there then. Thank you.
And then we wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we do.
And a Happy New Year, because you're not going to hear from us next week because we're going to take Boxing Day off.
Yeah.
And so we'll be back with you in the new year in 2026.
Yeah, happy Christmas and Happy New Year. And don't forget to like and follow us. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
This episode of When the Fuck Did I Become Old is proudly supported by our founding sponsor, Sally Rule, the homologist. Sally doesn't believe in downsizing. She believes in right-sizing, which is a term that I absolutely love. It means choosing the space that fits who you are now and where you're headed next. As life shifts, so do our needs. And Sally is the master at helping you figure out the right place at the right time. No pressure, no judgment, just smart, soulful guidance. Thank you, Sally, for supporting our conversations about aging and helping us all move forward with clarity and confidence.